is up, everybody? JC.
And see,
we got another top 10 awesome for you guys.
This one is on a legend in the industry that we don't give enough credit to, so we need to give her some credit. We're talking about Sable.
Absolutely. Long overdue, awesome. But here it goes. Reason number one why Sable is awesome. She is smoking hot.
Yes, she is. I mean, she doesn't even look too bad nowadays. She's like 53 years old, and she's still bangable. I mean, a very attractive woman. And that is the reason why she became such a drawback in the day, because she really stood out on a roster full of hot women. Absolutely. That's hard to do. Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Stood out over Tori Wilson. Stood out over Deborah McMichael. Stood out over Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
That is huge.
It is. And not only did she stand out, reason number two why Sable is awesome, she was the most over woman in the Attitude Era.
Yes, she was.
That's fucking huge. She was so over at one point, like in terms of being over, there was like Stone Cold number one, she was number two. She was that over at one time.
Cover girl of Playboy.
Yeah. Absolutely, like massively over.
Yeah, I mean, if they had a lot more Sable merchandise, she would have moved. They didn't have a lot of Sable merchandise back in the day.
Yeah, I wonder why. They would have sold.
Right. Especially like if you had the t-shirt with the handprints on it.
Yeah. Or like Sable in the barbed wire Pam Anderson outfit.
Yes.
That would have sold.
That was a blunder on WWF's part right there.
Huge blunder.
Yes.
Huge blunder, because that would have sold. Reason number three why Sable is awesome. She married Brock Lesnar. Now, Brock Lesnar is an amazing talent, fighter, wrestler, everything. He's an incredible guy. And she married him. Good for her.
Well, she went from a Las Vegas casino buffet steak in Mark Marrow to a steakhouse filet mignon in Brock Lesnar. You went from basically the poorhouse to the penthouse.
Well, and speaking of poorhouse, that's another good point you brought up, is that look at how much money Brock is making now, and look at how much money Mark Marrow is making.
Well, look where she started. Sable was nothing more than a stripper out in some Midwest bar.
Yeah.
Mark Marrow discovered her.
Yeah.
Brought her on the road. She dumped his ass and hooked up with Brock, so it all worked out.
It did, and like, Brock is bringing home millions of dollars.
Yes, he is.
Still is. She's living comfortably.
Yes.
She's living very well, and good for her.
Well, it's one of those things where Brock doesn't even have to compete anymore. I mean, he can if he wants, but he's still got that endorsement from Jimmy John's.
True.
So he's still getting a dedicated paycheck from Jimmy John's just for showing up at their places.
Hey, that's fine. And he gets free food, too.
Gets free food as well.
That's so cool, man. I'm happy for her.
Hell yeah.
I'm happy she married Brock Lesnar. Reason number four why Sable is awesome. She showed up in WCW while under WWF contract.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was the June 14th, 1999 episode of Nitro.
Right.
She was in the crowd.
Now, that's how you know you have power, especially when Vince was ready and willing to cut anybody who did anything crazy like that. Mm-hmm. She knew that she had power over Vince. Yep. So she went and she did what she could do to gain some more extra money and contract leveraging.
Good.
And it worked for her.
They had like this whole contract dispute going on. She was able to settle it with Vince, but she was able to come back in, I think, 2003. But yeah, I mean, she showed up on WCW during the Attitude Era.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. So she was in WCW and WWF at one time or another. Mm-hmm. Reason number five why Sable is awesome. She did some of the sexiest segments in the history of professional wrestling.
Can't deny that, man. Nah. Really sexy segments. Really good shit overall. And one thing I really got to give respect to her for is the fact that she had no shame at all in showing off her body.
No. No, not at all.
In a day and age where women will constantly shout down women for sexualization, she was loud and proud.
Well, yeah, but the same women nowadays are hypocrites. They'll post hot pictures of themselves on Instagram.
Right.
Don't objectify me, but then they go ahead and do that. Right. See, with Sable, at least she
was proud of it.
She was proud of it, and at least she's not whining about it nowadays.
Yeah, well, and she's not an SJW. It's like if you're going to go ahead and do something like that, your SJW card has been revoked. Yeah. You cannot use it on social media or in public. And that's what I love about Sable is she never was one, and she just kept it real. She's just like, I'm giving the men what they want to see. Yeah. She knows what she's doing, and she did it well.
She did.
Number 6, on the cover of Playboy, 3 times.
3 times. Okay, so twice in 1999 and once in 2003.
That's baller right there.
That's baller right there, man.
Yeah. That means that you're so hot, they gave you 2 callbacks afterwards.
Yeah.
So good for you, Sable. You deserve it.
Absolutely.
And you know that people who didn't even know who the fuck Sable was jacking their loads off.
Yeah.
So good for her. Number 7, starred in a Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, seriously. How many people have done that? In wrestling, how many people have done that?
Yeah, that's huge. That is very, very huge that she was able to break out of the cultural bubble to get an ad spot, which is very expensive, mind you, on the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So props to her on that. And this ties right in. Number 8 was mainstream popular.
Yeah. Okay. Difference between Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins popular and her popular. Only wrestling fans know who Becky Lynch is. The world knew who Sable was. Everybody was talking about Sable, even if they didn't care about wrestling. They were talking about her.
And something that you can't say about any of these divas nowadays. They don't have the cultural mainstream appeal that Sable has. If they put the Divas Championship on Sable back in the day, if they had her as the Divas Champion, even though she can't wrestle, I'd be fine with it because of how much she draws.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This ties right in. Number 9. Wasn't just eye candy, she actually wrestled. Now, not very good, mind you.
But
she
got in there and wrestled.
Yeah.
She did. She wrestled Jacqueline. She was the first ever women's champion for WWF.
Probably was.
Yeah. I think she beat Jacqueline for that. Took on Luna Vachon, took on Nicole Bass. God, took on, I think, maybe Trish at one point in 2003.
Point was that she didn't have to wrestle.
No.
But she did.
Yeah.
And that gets swept under the rug so much about Sable that she was a woman that, in my opinion, was a hot enough personality where she didn't have to wrestle, but she still put on a show for the fans. Still tried to impress these fucking smarks back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And number 10, the final reason why Sable's awesome. She is still more well-known than most wrestlers today.
True. You go back to anyone who stopped watching wrestling after 2005, say Seth Rollins, say Sable. Who do they know? How many millions more people are not watching wrestling than currently are?
Right. That's pretty bad when a woman from the Attitude Era is more well-known than virtually every male performer and every female performer of modern day that is currently competing in WWE or AEW.
Yeah.
Really think about it. Sable is more well-known than Randy Orton, Edge, Chris Jericho, Sting. She is more of a mainstream name than all of those names put together.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I know that's going to get some controversy. But
there's no arguing it. It's a fact.
It's a fact, dude. She is well known. People know who the fuck she is. If you bring up Sable, some rando rednecks at a fucking bar, they're gonna say, yeah, I jacked off to her back in the day.
1999, I jerked off about 17 loads a day to her Playboy catalog. It's like, well, they know who she is. They don't know who these guys are.
Right. And they never will. So that has been our top 10 reasons why Sable is amazing. She awesome. Is. Wonderful. She's a great woman. NC.
JC and
peace out.